Welcome to the MCU'S Bleeding Edge YouTube channel and podcast. It is Friday, October 10th, 2025. It's evening for us on the MCU'S Bleeding Edge, ourselves and our guest creators tonight. I am the co-host, Jeff S., a.k.a. TrueKnowledge. I'm actually not supposed to be moderating tonight. My co-host, Cyberneticshark, is. Till he gets here, I'm here with Imran from the Jock and Nerd podcast. I've got Quentin from the Superhero Homies podcast with me. And we're here to discuss Peacemaker Season 2, Episode 8, the finale. So, guys, until Cyber gets here, then I guess probably he can step in and do, like, the actual episode recap. I'll go to you first, Quentin. Since the last time that we've had a chance to talk to you about Peacemaker, kind of where are you at with Season 2, through the finale? Like, how did you end up feeling about the season?
I was very patient with this season, and I had a lot of high hopes. And I also thought that there was going to be a lot more payoff for a lot of the buildup that we got, because there was a lot of buildup. Ultimately, I got to be honest, I was left disappointed with the season finale. I thought that there was so much more that they could have done. I thought that, narratively speaking, they were going to have a tough time tying the plot together, because the plot thread throughout this season was kind of weak, if you're being honest. Very good concepts, but just poorly executed, I thought, as a whole. I loved season 1, and I loved the Suicide Squad movie that James Gunn did. I just think that maybe he's been spread too thin, and that his focus is being split in too many directions. And I think that, this just wasn't it. This was not his best outing.
Well, we ended up kind of, I think, in the same place then with Season 2, because that's really kind of where I'm at too. I really feel like, Season 1 was a better season of television. What do you think, Imran? I thought the finale was actually a pretty solid episode of Peacemaker.
Well, I mean, I agree. I think patience is a good word. Oh, look, he's here.
Hey, Cyber.
Being patient with this season is the proper word. You also got to remember, when they did the first season, James Gunn wasn't in charge. It was still the DCEU. So, and he was allowed, after making the Suicide Squad, to just take this character and have fun with it. And you could see him doing that. Now, the second season, I dig this show. I dig the charm of it. I dig a lot of the jokes and the raunchiness, but there seemed to be a lot of padding throughout this season. And I agree with superhero homie here that largely because they were setting up for stuff, and James Gunn sometimes should just shut the fuck up. He overhyped so many things, and I don't think a lot of them happened, right? We were expecting another big cameo. There's no cameo. I guess it was Nick Holt he was talking about. He said the last 3 episodes were going to get crazy, and I loved episodes 6 and 7. And I was expecting that and I didn't get what I was expecting. But at the same time, when I thought about it, there is amazing character moments in this whole season. The character journey, the arcs, they do give you closure. There's a lot of tender moments. There's a lot of heart in the show, but there's a lot of dangling threads and a lot of, like, Chris got caught like 3 times and released, right? What was that? It took for 4 episodes, they're trying to break into his house. What? And then they rushed through all this stuff in this final episode. You couldn't have spaced this. What was going on? Why was Michael Rooker even on the show? I thought Eagly was a bird god. What happened to that? We didn't get all the answers, but we got a crazy cliffhanger. We got some tender moments and some good acting. But so I don't know. I'm like torn on this. The finale? I don't know if it was my favorite. There's a lot of good things and a lot of bad things. It's such a weird show. And I'm ready for somebody else to give us something from the DCU. We've gotten 3 projects, all with James Gunn's fingerprints on them, and it's great. They've been a lot of fun. But I think let's let somebody else do something. Let's see that. I'm ready for that after 3 James Gunn things, basically.
Okay, thank you, Imran.
Yeah.
Welcome, everyone. I'm here finally, the Cyberneticshark, here to moderate the finale of Peacemaker, of course. I am running behind, so thank you all for being very patient.
You won the Oscar.
I won the Oscar, yes. I won the closeout Oscar. Thank you. I was thinking more of the Danny Award, but okay. But anyways,
she's still waiting for her Oscar for the Eternals.
That's true. Anyways, so going over to you, Quentin, what is your overall thoughts on season 2, sir?
Yeah, so I kind of gave my overall thoughts already, but just the Cliff Notes version could have and should have been better. I thought that overall there wasn't enough plot there to be structured properly, so the through line just wasn't there for this season. There were a lot of funny moments. There were a lot of really good moments, but man, this season was undercut by just lack of focus and structure. And the finale for me is kind of no different from the rest.
Gotcha. Thank you. All right, Jeff, same question, sir. What are your thoughts about season 2 overall?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't think the finale was like too bad. Like, it was all right. Like, I mean, at least it was 58 minutes long or whatever, like that was a plus for me, for the episode, like right there, right off the bat, like that was a win for me. So I could have like love or hate it or whatever, or like, whatever, the some of the musical stuff that they did. Like I'm not a fan that watches Peacemaker for that element, like, of the show. You know what I mean? Like, that's not for me, like a big, element really of my like enjoyment or whatever, or from my, at least on my end, like when I watch Peacemaker, right? I'm there more for like the characters, and like the chemistry on screen between the characters and like, the dialogue and everything, like those are the elements of the show that, like keep me like entertained, I guess. Right. And when they're working for the show, like, like when those things work, when there's the pace is pretty decent, and the story moves, from episode to episode, and you have a lot of really good, character moments where you kind of just interlace the, the kind of extended cast that they have, you know what I mean, and just kind of pair them together with, with each other in different scenarios and stuff like that. It works out pretty well. You end up with some pretty funny moments, like Quentin said, and they injected some good humor into season 2. I will say that, like, that's one thing they did have. I think with season 2 was they brought in what's his name, Tim Meadows or whatever.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
I mean, he he was great on the show. Like, I thought he kind of fell off like at the end there, like in that, with that last bit of humor with like Adrian or whatever, that I didn't really get into. That didn't do anything for me. But on the show overall, in the finale, he was great. When they got attacked by those fucking little creatures or whatever,
The imps. Yeah.
Yeah, he was great in that scene. You know what I'm saying? Like that, he was absolutely great. Seeing him in action, like actually doing some shit, like, was really entertaining, I thought. He was the highlight for me. I think that Adrian was great in season 2. Like there was some good stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I like seeing Peacemaker and Harcourt together at the end or whatever, like that's cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, I can get behind that. You know what I mean? Like I'm cool with that. I know kind of like where Gunn's coming from with those. Like, I know how he handles that kind of relational stuff. You know what I mean? And I wasn't surprised that they went with that direction. You know what I mean? Although maybe it might have been too easy in a way. But I guess overall, just again, I think season 1 was better. I like the pacing better. I felt like the episode lengths were better overall, like throughout season 1. Like, the episodes were longer than season 2, and I felt like season 2 had some strong episodes, but they were really mostly in the beginning, and then the show kind of dipped a little bit and got like real short on the episodes, and then bam, like they dropped the hour-long finale to kind of tie the bow on it, if you will, and I don't want to get into like, the actual breakdown of the episode or anything like that of like episode 8 really, or pick apart like the end of it or anything like that. But I will say I do think that like they established like or set up like something interesting for like season 3, with how they wrapped up season 2. Like, I thought that they at least did that well. Like that transition or whatever, or that, shift to like the next story or whatever you want or whatever for the next season. I feel like, how they ended episode 8 did at least like interesting, job, in terms of teasing what's gonna, go down if for a third season, right? You can't go wrong with like just sticking Peacemaker in like some random fucking dimension, like that's dope. Like that could be interesting. I was getting like Lost vibes, seeing that. But that's it, Cyber.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, yeah. So I mean, I myself, I've enjoyed this season. I wish the episodes had been longer, definitely on majority of these episodes, because they could have just done so much more with the series if they had done that. Other than that, I still think it's been a very solid, interesting season that I enjoyed. I thought it was a good accompaniment to the first season. And I think overall it was kind of an interesting way to kind of push forward Peacemaker's character into a completely different direction. So leaving it on a cliffhanger was kind of like, what the fuck? The simple fact that we keep hearing no season 3. It's going to be a part of the DC, universe now somehow. In what movie, we don't know. Is it, I recently saw an article saying that it could be a part of Lanterns. So who knows when we'll get to see kind of the, like, what happens of that. Leaving on a cliffhanger like that with, no prospect of season 3 kind of sucks, but at the same time I still think it was an okay episode. Definitely wasn't my favorite episode, but definitely had some moments. All right, so getting into it, this episode is called The Full Nelson, written and directed by James Gunn. Overall, it's the 16th episode of the Peacemaker series, 8th of season 2. And basically, the episode starts off 1 month earlier. Chris and Harcourt go out for a night that ends in a kiss that results in Harcourt leaving. And of course, that whole sequence, we see them at the Big Belly Burger. We see them going to the Half Nelson concert. And, it kind of goes into the intro, and then it comes to present day, and Chris is in prison, refusing to see the kids or his friends. He gives kind of the guard, like, I don't want to see them. He's like, It's like, why? And he's like, because I'm the angel of death. And he basically kind of explains that everything he touches dies, basically. And I think that's quite, interesting how, like, evil he thinks he is. But then, basically then that's when we go to Argus and them investigating the doors in the QUC where multiple Argus agents are killed. Once again, huge section of the episode. We get to see them go into different doors, them getting hammered by things. We see all these different types of creatures. Of course, we got Tim Meadows there. We got all the kind of people that we kind of saw in previous episodes. And, of course, we have, Hardcore and them trying to keep things together. And we have basically the death of several agents, unfortunately.
Sorry about that.
And we end up, of course, we have those little sprite creature things that end up crashing through one of the guy's helmets and eating his face out. So we'll stop there. We won't go any further than that Argus agent being killed. So what are you guys' thoughts kind of on that beginning section, which I think was, I would say probably is the first 20 to 25 minutes of the episode. What do you guys think about that? Was there anything that you really enjoyed about it? Was there anything you thought was stupid about it? What did you think about Chris being in jail still? And what do you think about them finally kind of showing what happened on the boat and or kind of giving you a glimpse of what led to the boat and the whole crazy seeing the different dimensions and stuff like that and all the different creatures? What are you guys' overall thoughts on that? And I'll start with you, Quentin.
All right. So for the cold open on this episode, I thought that all of this was fine. I didn't think it was like anything bad. I didn't think it was anything, great either. It was just kind of filling in the blanks, giving us context to what we had heard happen earlier in the season. We knew that there was something that happened between Harcourt and Chris on like a boat or a dock somewhere. And, they finally gave us context for that. And they were on a date, not date. And, it was cute. I certainly didn't mind it. I guess for me, it didn't resonate as much as it could have, simply because at this point in the season and the way that the story has gone, I didn't really know why this was important anymore. But it was still interesting nonetheless, and I'm glad that I got to see it. The things that happened after the credits, this is really what got my interest in this episode, because I was so curious as to now in the last episode, what could the plot possibly be? And so seeing that Rick Flag Sr. wants to explore all these other dimensions for reasons unknown at this point, it really had me scratching my head, and I didn't put it together. But seeing these different dimensions was fun. And I guess just trying to be a little bit logical here. Why not send in a drone first for some of these places instead of sending in human bodies?
Yeah.
I think that would have saved you some manpower. Also, I know that Rick Flag Sr. has been really antagonistic this entire season, but up until this episode, everything he did, I thought that he could come back from. But after this episode, I don't know how they can really bring him back. Like, he just doesn't seem like the same character that I saw in Creature Commandos.
Yeah.
He willingly sacrificed a lot of his Argus men, and they died, And so it's that kind of shook me, that heel turn like that. Yeah. Was like, wow. The imp stuff, I think for me, and maybe for a lot of people, was kind of like one of the highlights. I was so scared, not for Harcourt. I knew that she had enough plot armor. She was going to be fine. I was terrified for Flurry, though. Tim Meadows.
Oh, yeah.
I was terrified he was going to bite it. Thankfully, he made it out. Unfortunately, the one red shirt, he did not make it. Died a horrible death.
Pour one out for Cupid.
Cupid, that's right.
Cupid doll. I'm going to call you Cupid doll.
But he didn't have a good time. But just seeing some of these other places, it was interesting. We didn't visit there a lot. The one Hellscape place, I'm glad they just opened the door and then closed it. That door needs to be boarded up.
You should see Flurry's face. He's just like, and then they just close the door.
Yeah. But no, this I thought was definitely interesting. And then, seeing Chris in jail, I certainly understand his mindset. He feels that everything he touches dies, everything he loves dies or perishes. And it's a little bit edgelord to call yourself the angel of death, or whatever. But he's definitely in a funk, in a bit of a rut. This was something else I was worried about, because again, this is the last episode. How is he gonna traverse through this kind of arc in one episode and make it something that I can really kind of resonate with? But that's just a personal opinion of mine. It was still fine, though, I thought. So that's kind of my thoughts on that first section of the episode.
All right, excellent. Thank you, sir. Good job. All right, going over to you, Jeff. Your thoughts on that section, sir, leading up to the whole Argus situation there with all the people going into the different doors, basically to when the one guy gets killed by the little pixie creatures.
Yeah, there's other stuff that occurs, like you do see, like, there are scenes with Adebayo, and Adrian and stuff like that, that are like, that are halfway decent, like in that opening, I enjoyed Adrian in the episode. I thought he was pretty solid. He's been great all season. He's just really funny. I don't know, with Flag, like, I get where Quentin's going as far as, like, him becoming almost like irredeemable almost, or something like that. I could have swore at one point, like, was I like hallucinating, or did I see like Flag like doing cocaine or something like that?
Oh yeah, they were doing lines and having a
Yeah,
good
that's what I thought. I was
Yeah.
like, what the fuck? Are you fucking kidding me? Like, that was crazy. Like, talking about over the top, you know what I mean? I don't know, you know, I mean, all the hardcore Peacemaker stuff that they started off with is whatever to me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, really, like, to be honest with you, like, you know, like, as a Peacemaker fan or whatever, I guess you could say, like, you know, the whole like relationship between Chris and hardcore is not like my like main, you know, like, you know, thing, the element or whatever, or reason that I'm into the show, you know. Like, I find like the character of Eagly more fascinating than that relationship. You know what I'm saying? You know, just to be like, you know, like clear, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know. You know, Imrod mentioned, you know, why did they bring in what's his name from The Walking Dead for
Michael Rooker, who's in everything.
Michael Rooker, yeah,
because he's just in everything James Gunn makes.
Why did they have to kill him off so quick? You know, like
2 episodes.
Yeah. I don't know why they did do that, Imrod, to be honest with you. I like that character. I thought he was pretty...
To pad it out is why they did that, because they got to make 8 episodes.
Well, all I can say is just that the concept of watching the government agents, like, you know, essentially, checking out the whole alien laboratory, you know, overall, like, you know, checking out all the doors and all that. There's no way for that not to be cool. Like that's a cool element of the episode. You know what I'm saying? Like, seeing what's behind those doors, you know, that will open, was like obviously like very fascinating. And yes, that like hell dimension or whatever with the fucking like skulls and shit or whatever was fucking crazy.
There was the zombie world.
The zombie one that was like, yeah, like Walking Dead and shit like that, almost basically. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I knew hardcore was going to make out okay in that scenario too with the little creatures, you know. I knew somebody was going to go down, you know. That one dude, the blonde guy, he fucking his face got like ate off, you know. That was actually pretty gory, to be honest with you, you know. I was a little bit shocked and taken aback by like, you know, like how fucked up his face was, you know what I'm saying? I didn't grasp that he got fucked up that bad, you know? Yeah. But those creatures were fucking actually really fucking evil, like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, like, you know, and yeah. That one that was like humping Tim Meadows.
It was fucking his face. It was hilarious.
That was fucking hilarious, dude. You know? How
about that song? You know that song? You know Steel Panther?
Oh, what do you mean the one that they play later? Fuck my heart in the ass or
Fucking
whatever?
My Heart in the Ass over the montage is a fantastic piece of music there. Wow.
Yeah, most definitely. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. Like those are all the takes I got, other than the actor that plays Economos is fucking tall. You know, when you watch him walk with Peacemaker or the same scenes and shit like that or whatever, he's taller than Peacemaker. You know what I'm saying? He's a tall motherfucker, dude. Because John Cena's gotta be like what, 6'3", 6'4", or something like that. You know?
Yeah. Cena's only 6 feet actually, but like almost.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Like 6'5". Yeah.
He's big. He's a big boy. Yeah. I love Stevie G. He's hilarious.
Yeah, he's a big fucking dude.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
it was funny seeing him walk next to Sasha Bordeaux, because that actress, she's like 5'3".
Yeah. Some of those actresses are like tiny compared to him. When they size up sometimes on screen, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, what do you call it? But yeah, so I happened to notice that really for the first time, like for some reason in the finale. I was like, holy fuck, this guy is fucking huge. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, he acts like such a pacifist on the show, but in real life, if you want to lock up on somebody, like, he's a big fucking dude. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure he could probably lock somebody up if he wanted to, you know? Yeah, that's pretty much all I got, Cyber. Just said, like I said, the hardcore Peacemaker relationship stuff is kind of whatever to me. Peacemaker in jail, like all hating life and all that shit and everything. Well, I mean, we kind of like, figured that's where he was going to be at coming off of like what happened last episode, right? Like that was obviously like, where the state that he was going to be in, so like, none of that was like surprising or anything like that, and you figured that eventually at some point he would bounce back, from like, the rut that he was in at some point, that's it, sir. That's it, sir.
All right, thank you, sir. Going over to you, Imran. Your thoughts, sir, on that section of the episode?
I really like seeing what the boat story. I was waiting. They kept talking about what happened on the boat. He's constantly asking her, what about the boat? I am personally invested in these two's relationship. This is kind of the whole show is about Chris and Emilia coming to grips with like how they feel. Because what an awkward thing, right? He killed her best friend that she was sleeping with the night before, and now she's falling for him. And now we get the story where we see that happen, where she didn't want to do it, but his charm, and he's like, to see him happy and singing and her embarrassed, and they're kind of vibing on this date. Like, that's a great contrast when it cuts to him as a broken man in the prison after all this, thinking he's the angel of death. But yeah, the dimension hopping was hilarious. Oh, how about Flurry telling that story about Cupid throwing up on the stripper? It was a very long story, but it was pretty funny. And I love when those things die. You see glitter, and then you hear little chimes like it's a video game. Was hilarious. Also, these are the imps in the first season. His dad was telling that story about Chris when he was younger, and he brought in a peppermint, and he had to fight off these imps. These were those imps. So there are times where he is paying attention and calling things back. Also, Big Belly Burger from the comics. A lot of these things are from the comics. Salvation from the comics. But so yeah, fun opening thing, and you start to see Bordeaux and Fleury both are like, I don't like what's going on here, and their allegiance to Flag is slipping. As I agree, the heel turn is crazy. Like he wasn't in Superman trying to capture Lex Luthor. He is now working with Lex Luthor. It's kind of a crazy twist to happen so quickly, but I guess I don't know. But you guys covered everything else that was fun about this opening first part.
All right, thank you, and sorry about that coughing earlier, folks. Water down the wrong pipe. Anywho, yeah. So I think the opening, I'm glad they finally kind of showed like the whole boat instant thing. I'm glad they finally showed like about that. It took all the way to the end episode, but still we finally got something about it, which I was glad about. And then of course, cutting to him in prison, a broken man, like, just Imran was saying, is pretty funny because you're just like, well, you put yourself there. You could have kept yourself out of there, but you put yourself there. But I agree, like that whole freaking Argus thing with them going into different doors was freaking insane. And some of those creatures were insane looking, like the skull head things that were like, that looked like they were like kind of spider things was freaking insane. And then, of course, those pixie things were insane too. Just taking at everyone, you're like, you see it, little cute little thing, and then all of a sudden it's a demon, and you're thinking to yourself, like, crap, it's kind of like Gremlins, huh? Like those Gremlin creatures, kind of like in the Suicide Squad film, those water creatures that that the shark is looking at.
Oh yeah.
And they seem all sweet and cuddly, and then all of a sudden they have these razor sharp teeth and start like chopping on them.
Have you seen Galaxy Quest? There's a similar thing happens in Galaxy Quest with the little cute creatures, and then they start eating each other.
Yep. That too. I think that's a James Gunn theme. I think it's kind of a deal. But anyways, yeah. So I think that the beginning of the episode it's okay. It's pretty decent. Nothing that great, but overall, I think that it was entertaining to some point. All right, so moving on. So Adebayo and Adrian bail out Chris, who takes Eagly and runs away with none of the kids knowing where he went. Argus managed to find a habitable dimension, which they name Salvation. Flag Sr. pitches the new dimension to be used as a prison for metahumans to the government, which is approved. Bordeaux reveals this to Harcourt before using Bordeaux's Argus credentials to locate Peacemaker. So we'll stop there. Quite a bit goes on in that little section there. I mean, we see Chris, hanging out in a hotel room. We see him, grabbing Eagly and everything. The whole Adrian Adebayo thing was pretty funny. Her finally convincing him to use the blood money to use on Chris and everything and start using it and stuff for their own good. And, and then we, of course, have the one dimension they finally find that seems like a peaceful Earth. And they're like, yeah, let's use this as a prison. And so when they said that, I was kind of cracking up. I'm like, what's so horrible about being stuck there? I mean, it looked normal. Like, it's, until we get to the end of the episode, you're like, it looks pretty normal. Like, it's just another world like yours. And I'm thinking of something like, wow, they want to use a whole planet, whole dimension to be a prison. Okay, that's original. But, at the same time, it's kind of like, okay, yeah, that's what you're going to do. But then, of course, the whole pitching it to the government by Flag and everything, I think that scene's pretty funny. And I think that like that one government guy that's always kind of there, like he was in Superman, he was in and so forth. He always cracks me up, and his conversation with Flag was pretty funny, I thought. So I think this is a pretty funny section. I think that it did pretty well. I think it'll be fun to see if what else ever comes out of that. Maybe we'll get another like sequence like that. It'd be pretty funny and something else. But anyways, what are your guys' thoughts on that section leading up to Bordeaux teaming up with Harcourt and them trying to figure out where Peacemaker is, and just your overall thoughts kind of in that whole situation there with Chris leaving and the Argus finding that dimension, deciding it'd be a prison, and then of course the whole government section too there. So what are you guys' thoughts? And this time I'll start with you, Imran.
Oh, Eagly depressed was sad. That was surprisingly sad, him cowering in the corner before he comes and gets him. But yeah, Chris gets caught and then released like twice really quickly. This is the second time this happened. And it's not even the last time he's going to get caught by Flag in this episode. So it's kind of weird that these things keep happening. But yeah, them finding that planet was a nice moment because Emilia is like ecstatic. Like she thinks she's found something good. It's like a happy thing. They could breed there. They don't know. And then how just Rick uses her when she's like, oh, remember you told me to call you Rick, and he just blows her off cultural. Like he just used Bordeaux, and Bordeaux's starting to see that, and he used Emilia. So Flag Senior he's dirty. He's a dirty man this whole time. Nobody knew. What else? Yeah, what else happened in there? Is the Adebayo and Lee stuff? Is that in this section?
I believe so. Yes.
Where?
Yeah, it's before she goes and talks to Adrian.
Oh, right. So I found that scene was amazing because Judo Master made her see her wife's point of view, right? Remember, he's like, this is her dream. Who's crushing who? And that whole scene where she has to break up and say that, look, our lives are going separate ways. Oh my God, super heartfelt, amazing acting. Adebayo, what's her name? Who plays her? It was amazing this episode. Like she steals a lot of the scenes.
Danielle Brooks did
an amazing job this episode, and you feel a lot of the emotion. And later, even we'll see like it gives the most convincing argument to Chris and just has some amazing lines, and you buy all of it. Their chemistry is so good. So yeah, further, more character development. They're going through a bunch of things real quick here, which is kind of crazy.
All right, thank you. Going over to you, Jeff. Your thoughts are on that section as well, which once again, it is up to when Bordeaux and Harcourt decide to work together to find Peacemaker.
Yeah, so I didn't realize that Bordeaux or whatever was actually with Flag until this episode. I didn't grasp that. So that kind of surprised me. Like I didn't realize that until like this episode, when John said something to her about like being his girlfriend or whatever, and she said no, I believed her at first, seeing Eagly sad like in the room and all that shit was like really sad, I don't think anybody likes seeing an animal like that,
It's not even a real animal. It's all CG, and it made me sad.
It's still, it doesn't matter. It Eagly looks realistic enough. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It looks real, like on the show, so you feel bad for Eagly, so it was good to see Eagly and Peacemaker getting back together, and Adebayo convincing Adrian, like using logic to convince, him to spend the drug money or whatever, was actually very entertaining. And
like I'm a better friend. I'm just a better friend than you, I guess. It's the whole thing.
Yeah, she went like to the one place where like she knew she could get him. You know what I mean? And that's being Peacemaker's best friend. You know what I'm saying? That was the one spot with him. So that was good. I like that. That was pretty interesting. Seeing like Flag's attitude about like everything that's going on, like with all the research of the dimensions and all that shit. Like his attitude just being like, oh, everything's great, that's great, like this is fucking awesome, and everything, is kind of like just a little bit sus, like just because like it's a little nefarious, the whole concept of wanting to actually like use that dimension as a prison is fucking crazy. Like I don't know why anyone would really want to do that on a practical level. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know, like it's not legal. You know what I'm saying? Like for one thing, you know what I mean? They really like figured out that alien technology, the government did, like compared to Peacemaker's dad, and like Peacemaker's like understanding of that shit, you know what I mean?
No, because they got dudes from Superman helping them out.
They got they've got like some high-minded people or whatever working on this shit now.
Yeah.
And that one alien did come out though in the episode. That one that goes and puts the little rabbits or whatever in the trash or whatever.
I thought we would get a bigger role from him. That guy's great.
Hardcore made eye contact with it or whatever.
He had no rodents. He's just disposing rodents.
Yeah,
doesn't say hi.
That's all it ever does.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
They put him in the opening dance number, and I thought that he would do something at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I just love his appearances. I just think it's great whenever he comes out. You know what I mean? Like, just how seeing him interact with other characters and shit like that. It's just like, okay, you know what I'm saying? He's a nice addition to the cast. When he makes his appearances, right? So he was good. Whatever the fuck that thing is, he's an interesting character. Hopefully, we'll get to see more of him like later on. In season 3, I hope. But that's it, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. Going down to you, Quentin, sir. Your thoughts, sir, on that section of the episode.
So this is interesting for me because I'm a huge comic book nerd, and when I see certain things or hear certain things, it triggers me, and not in a bad way, just like in a response way. I'm doing the Leonardo DiCaprio scene where I'm pointing at the TV like, oh, I recognize that.
Yeah.
So when they discover this new dimension or this new plane, and they call it salvation, then it smacks me in the face, like it came out of nowhere, like, oh my gosh, that's what they've been looking for. They're looking for a prison planet. And it is in the comic books. I think it precedes Final Crisis.
Yeah, right before
Final Crisis.
And they sent all the bad villain metahumans. They just put them on that planet. Yeah, everybody's there. I mean, it kind of makes sense if you think about it.
Right.
He's like, you're making the place safer, and then they don't got to worry about. They're like, whatever, they're over there.
So, and with that in mind, Imran, I'm sure that you also remember like the payoff to that story being that this is not a paradise planet. this is actually being ran by Desaad, like the general of
Right.
Apocalypse. And
Right. Yeah.
using that planet as like a testing battleground. And he's like, oh, what do we have here? You know?
So James Gunn, he's doing Salvation, and he said that this is going to be a big part of the DCU moving forward. But you know what? He said a lot of things that didn't happen. So he's just doing it again.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't want to get my hopes up and just assume that we're going to go right into, something that is just 2 degrees away from dark side. You know, if this Salvation is in fact connected to Desaad, who was a general of dark side, that's a pretty big deal. I don't know if that's the direction that we're going to go. I also don't know when the next time we're going to see Peacemaker. By the sounds of it, like Cyber mentioned earlier, it's not going to be a season 3, at least not for a while, according to James Gunn.
He said this leads into Man of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I thought there might be a Brainiac tease or something, but they don't do that really.
Yeah. I thought for certain too we get some kind of maybe Brainiac tie-in or something.
I thought Corn Sweat was going to show. I straight up thought David Corn Sweat Superman. That was going to be the big cameo.
So me and my co-host, we both theorized that we would see Superman in this finale, and now we have egg on our face.
Was anybody surprised that we didn't go back to Earth X? Because I kind of had that feeling after. I was like, I think we're done with Earth X, but I really loved the Earth X bits, but that's also was not. That was done. It's weird.
Yeah, it was, and not to go back and redig up that grave, but that was 5 episodes of build up for about 30 minutes of good content, and then it was done. But I guess just to wrap up my thoughts on this section of the episode, the Salvation stuff really got me going and really wondering, okay, what are we going to do with this? And I guess we have to wait another, 2 years or so to find out exactly what's going on with that. The stuff with Adebayo and Vigilante, first of all, I adore both those characters, and I think that they did great work this season, the both of them. The issue is neither one of them had a whole lot to do this season. We only got 2 scenes with Adebayo and her wife, and the second scene was them technically breaking up, is what it seemed like, even though for good cause, good reason, That I really thought that both Ads and Vigilante had some really good stuff here, really cool content. Seeing Chris just on the run, I get that he's still in like his emo phase. No one understands me. Don't bother me. I'll just hurt you type deal. I get it. But I couldn't help but wonder, like, so where are you going? You're going to be like Wolverine and just chop wood as a lumberjack? Like, what's your end goal here, Chris? I don't really know if he had one or not. I know we're not there yet, but I laughed hysterically when Vigilante took him down.
Oh my God, that was hilarious. And he tases him and then he just goes, got him. And I was like, that's perfect. That was so funny.
Yeah. Seeing Sasha Bordeaux and Hardcore interact, though, that was also very interesting for me as well. And I don't know exactly why there's so much animosity there. I guess there can't be 2 attractive women on the 4th at the same time. I don't know. But yeah, I thought that it was overall it was a solid bit of episode right there.
Excellent, thank you. So yeah, I mean, I think this definitely is an interesting section of all the stuff that goes down. I mean, was anybody surprised that Bordeaux eventually went to the other side? What about you, Imran? Do you think were you surprised by that?
No, I think it makes sense. She's a cyborg, and when she hears he wants to put all like metahumans in there, suddenly, she feels like he's turning on him. And Fleury also, I'm glad he kind of turned, because I want to see more, and I think we will get more of Tim Meadows, as we'll see later on. They all kind of join the gang there, but good for Sasha Bordeaux. And her meeting Adebayo was great too. And I forgot they never met, but all those sequences were fantastic.
How about you, Jeff? But what are your thoughts on Bordeaux moving to the other side?
Nothing really. I mean, it didn't really surprise me. It just, it happened, you know what I'm saying? And then I was kind of like, okay, It didn't really, nothing besides that.
Okay. How about you, Quentin? Anything?
It didn't really surprise me, but it was mostly because like I remember her vaguely from the comic books, and I know that she joins Checkmate there.
Yeah, a lot of these characters are in Checkmate in the comics, which is and it's like a big thing.
Right. So that was cool, so it didn't surprise me that much. And also like like when someone is kind of falling out of life with you, like and like just the look she shot him after Rick Flag and the gang left the meeting with the Secretary of Defense, like you knew that the jig is up for that. They're done. I don't know. Rick,
he's done with it.
Yeah. He got what he wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
True. Very true. Yeah. I at first I was kind of like, oh, okay, like, her allegiance felt very strong to Flag to me, majority of the season. So it was kind of shocking to see her do that. But at the same time, it's like everyone has a breaking point, and she finally had her breaking point and decided, realize, hey, this is not the right side to be on. So I was glad to kind of see her finally kind of like smarten up. And I was waiting for Tim Meadows to join the side too, because at some point after that first episode, we met him and he's like the bird blind. I'm like, you got to have this motherfucker on your side. Yeah. I'm sorry. This is absolutely hilarious. He is hilarious. And, when he kind of finally decided to move his way, as we saw, I was like, oh, thank God. I'm like, that's awesome, because I would love to see Tim Meadows more in the DCU. Because I think he's an absolutely great character. He was absolutely freaking hilarious. And just Tim Meadows is such a great actor anyways and comedian. So he's always fun to watch. So I'm down for more Tim Meadows as his flirty character. So I was definitely happy about that. All right. So moving on from there. So after they locate Peacemaker, the two then quit their jobs at Argus together. The kids head to the motel where Chris is staying, and they tell him he is loved and appreciated. Harcourt tells Chris that the night on the boat was meaningful to her, as well as the two began dating. See, now, I did not get that from that situation. I just about her saying, you dumb motherfucker. Yes, it meant something.
Yeah, it was just a kiss too, right?
Yeah.
The whole thing was her getting swept up. It was just a kiss and a moment. But I wanted these two to get together so badly. So when she goes, it did mean something, you piece of shit. Yeah, whatever. I was like, oh my God, she admitted it. And it's so funny how they all get him and they talk to him, and then he's still he's like, didn't mean anything. How many times has he asked her?
Right. So we'll stop there. That section, I feel quite a bit goes on too. I mean, we see them get together. We see them get Adebayo a part of it. We see, the whole situation with Chris. We have that tender moment. Adebayo's crying. Everyone's like being emotional. Everyone's telling Chris how much they mean to him, and all this kind of stuff and all that, jazz, and finally they get him to be like, okay. And, they have both, finally he has that tender moment with Harcourt finally, and we get that situation there. And, I think the two quitting Argus is quite interesting too, as well. So what are you guys' thoughts on that section? Basically, from there to, before we get to the 1 week later situation and the two supposedly began dating. What are your guys' thoughts on that whole emotional kind of like roller coaster there going on? Because I'm sure if you found her breaking up with her wife is just as emotional as this section was, I felt. And they definitely, I felt, were coinciding in this episode, most definitely. So starting with you, Quentin, what do you think about this section, sir?
Yeah, so I am definitely of two minds about this particular section, because on one hand, I think that it is extremely great acting going on in this, what I call just an intervention that they have for Chris. I think that the acting there by everybody. It's just top notch. Honestly, I think that we're seeing some of the best acting that John Cena's ever done.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's doing great here. And Danielle Brooks, like, she's really bringing it here, and she's done great this entire season, I thought. And everybody lays out their case for Chris as to why he's important to them and why he should stay and why they need him. And it's the whole thing, right, where it's the necessary evil in this type of storytelling, because that there needs to be some kind of redemption or some kind of repentance for Chris, something that he can do to come around and turn that corner again. But at the same time, it's like, if we just rewind, an episode and a half ago, he's the happiest guy on the planet, essentially. And so, like, we're just going from like one extreme to the other, and then just trying to get back to a base level with Chris. And so we know that we got to get there to like where he joins the team again and get out of this kind of funk that he's stuck in. It's just a lot, I mean, obviously we know that in reality, something like this would take time for someone to kind of, come to terms with. Whereas we only have 57 minutes, so we got to get to it, Chris. You're gonna have to heal from that trauma real fast. So, and that's what happens here. And I'm not mad at it. I'm just pointing it out. The stuff with the stuff with Harcourt, it gets interesting because she says, "Yeah, of course it meant something to me." And I was thinking, wow, he would have never went to Naziverse had you just told him that from the beginning.
Right.
He went to a whole universe full of Nazis and had more trauma added onto him.
Yeah.
Had you just been honest with him from the start.
That's a good point.
I thought that we just got some tremendous acting here. And, at this point in the episode, I was thinking to myself, all right, this is great. They got Chris back. We officially have the 11th Street kids back together again. Now, where do we go with the remaining section of this episode? And better yet, the remaining section of this season of television? Like, how do we wrap this up with the gang back together?
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Yeah, most definitely. I mean, the whole 11th Street kid thing is kind of a fun thing that that they came up with for this group of people. I think that overall it's kind of a funny thing. It's kind of like how the Guardians became a group. It's kind of like how other, groups became, the Eternals, etc. It's very, very James Gunnish. And I think that name is pretty funny because why are they calling themselves kids? But at the same time, you're like, okay, that kind of sounds cool though at the same time. So I like that they call it that way. All right. Same question, Imran. That portion, sir.
This is what James Gunn does do best. This is, I feel like, the most personal part of the show. The emotion, the heart, the characters, and we all want, crazy sci-fi stuff and fight scenes. But I think this is like the heart of this show is this character, Peacemaker, who's been through so many crazy things. To his defense, like he had to all the people he's killed, all the people he's seen killed twice, trying to figure out he just needs the love of friends and the family kind of thing. And I do love her line where she's like, I know you love me. It's the only one, you're the only person I know that will love me or whatever. But I bought all of it, man. She was so good. Like that got me in the feels. So I was glad they all got together. Because there was some good closure, I think. But man, all these characters have been through so much. So, I felt the trauma.
He felt the trauma, people.
I felt it.
He felt it. All right, excellent, sir. Thank you, Jeff. Your thoughts, sir, on that little section?
I mean, it's the emotional, sort of like peak or whatever of the episode is great. The sort of team moment or whatever, if you want to call it that, is like, a nice moment for like, for the kids to come together, with Chris, it's very heartwarming sort of like gun sort of like scene, I guess, besides that, I mean, really, I like in no way did I did I think that Flag was done with like Peacemaker, like I really didn't feel like he was safe. I almost already kind of they were making him seem so so scot-free from having posted bail or whatever, like I didn't really I saw him as more like in danger, for get swooped up by Flag, again or something like that, because I mean Flag really didn't get his vengeance, you know what I'm saying? I mean, yeah, besides that, I mean, the hardcore Chris confirmation of the love, of the relationship or whatever, I mean, is is I guess that's positive, I mean, we'll see where it goes, but their whole relationship angle is not really a major focus for me with the show, so I mean it's I'm kind of whatever with it, you know what I'm saying? It's okay, but I do think the acting was pretty strong, other people have already mentioned. I think the whole sort of squad kind of brought their A game, for the finale. It's a pretty solid episode. This is a good section.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. All right. Excellent. I think that, this kind of, it kind of got a little slower here for a little bit, before we really get into the final portion of this episode. And, it's nice that, they come up with kind of this interesting scenario, I think. And, I believe that the whole thought process was kind of a cool idea, them creating something and all this kind of cool stuff. So this final section, I think probably out of the whole episode was one of my favorite parts, except for the very ending. But, I hate when they leave things on cliffhangers, especially when they say they don't have anything set up already to be able to continue that or at least finish that story. So anywho, so basically the final part of this episode goes, so 1 week later, they all start a new agency called Checkmate. Alongside Bordeaux, Fleury, Judo Master, they have created this new Checkmate, which is helping people out. We see them go and grabbing all the blood money and stuff like that, see them go crazy and stuff like that. We have kind of that montage thing going on with them working together. We see Fleury, we see Bordeaux, we see Judo Master and all that kind of stuff, which is really funny. And then of course we see Chris trying to go into his house, and then he gets basically kidnapped by Flag. And we see them take him to an undisclosed location with the door and leave him in Salvation and leave him there to rot, basically, to see, what is going on, if this is really a good place to make this a prison. And they leave it off at that, and it ends on that big cliffhanger. So what do you guys think about that final portion of the episode, that finale? What do you think about the whole Checkmate situation, them creating this new agency and stuff like that? And what do you think about everyone joining and all that kind of that funny montage and stuff like that? And I'll start with you, Jeff.
Yeah, the interlacing of the music with the band and all that stuff and all that is whatever again, I mean, I mean, that's just not why, really why I like Peacemaker, it's not the music or anything like that, really. I get that it's something that Gunn likes to highlight in the show, and all that, right? And some of it is entertaining and funny. Sometimes some of the music, don't get me wrong, but I was kind of whatever with some of the montage where they were jumping, in between, going back and forth between the band and the group and everything and all that. Mm-hmm. But it's cool that they're setting up their own agency. That's neat, I mean, it's a positive direction to see the group go into, you know what I'm saying? and like an obviously like a logical investment to make, like if you're going to use like Adrian's money for something, right? Like, like that seems like, a logical place to like put all that money into, it gives everybody a job, right? So, yeah, besides that, I mean, I like where they left off the season, like, by sticking Peacemaker in that, salvation dimension, that's, I think it's interesting, like, hearing whatever the fuck that like scary sound was or whatever, in the woods or whatever, I mean,
Yeah.
it seems interesting to me. Who the fuck knows how long it'll be till we get another season of Peacemaker. But, I did like, kind of like, where they decided to end things. I thought it was a solid tilt, with the story to kind of like do that, stick Chris in there, and see where that goes. You know what I'm saying? It could lead to some interesting shit. Besides that, I mean, overall, I did enjoy watching the montage with all the different side characters and the group all, like at checkmate and everything and putting it together and all that. It was all good. It was like a very positive high note for the episode, obviously, seeing all the different side characters that ended up with them at checkmate was obviously really cool, right? Like Judo Master, obviously, right? That was totally dope. Besides that, I mean, that's pretty much it.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. Going over to you, Imran. What are your thoughts, sir, on the final part of the finale?
Yo, this part was crazy. James Gunn really knows how to play with your emotions, man. He does it every episode, kind of like get him on a happy note and then just take it right down. He's very good at that. But regarding the music, yeah, this episode's like 57 minutes. There's 2 musical performances, literally 2. Wow, you got Nelson, but I did enjoy seeing Foxy Shazam do the opening number, which initially I was not a fan of this opening intro. I thought the first season one was better. I will say the song has grown on me, and the intro did grow on me, and I was like, I dig that song. But this checkmate thing is really funny. What a team! What a team we got. I kind of love this lineup. We got Peacemaker, Emilia Harcourt, Economos, Adebayo, Sasha Bordeaux, Flory, Judo Master, Eagly. This is a great team. These guys are great. So yeah, checkmate is like, and I know Quint, you can fill in a little bit. It's kind of like Shield, right, for DC in the comics. So yeah, he's doing another big comics thing here with the checkmate and salvation, which leaving him in there is wild. That's kind of crazy. I did love that crazy ending. I was like, man, because then suddenly I was like, oh my god, Hardcore's gonna be like, where did Chris go? And he's gonna be missing. His friends are gonna work. What? They just got back. They are hooking up. Everybody was in a good place. And they're gonna be like, have you guys seen Chris? And they'll be like, no, I know he was here a second ago. I don't know what happened. So I don't think we're gonna see him for a while. I don't think we're gonna see him in the 3rd season of this show. I think we're gonna see him again somewhere else in a movie. I don't know. But this is all part of James Gunn's plan, where initially he was like, oh, you don't have to watch everything, but now it turns out, yeah, you kind of have to watch everything, but it's a mix of like PG and like really hard R-rated stuff. This is kind of weird. This is a weird franchise, but I'm here for it. I feel sorry for the kids who saw Superman and they're like, Mom, can I watch this? And you gotta be like, no, sorry. I know he was in the thing and you can't watch it, but I love it. So there was a crazy ending, and yeah, can't wait to see where it goes.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. All right, going over to you, Quentin. What are your thoughts, sir, on the final portion of this episode?
Thought there were some really bold decisions to be made, considering that, again, to reiterate, no known facts or ideas about a season 3 of Peacemaker. But I did walk away with a few thoughts on this that I thought were worth mentioning. So we know that when James Gunn first laid out the slate for this phase, which he's calling Gods and Monsters, there's been some changes made. Like, for example, there was supposed to be a Swamp Thing movie, and, because of creative differences, that got pushed back. Same thing with The Authority. We saw the engineer in Man of Steel. I mean, not Man of Steel, but we saw the engineer in the Superman movie, but The Authority, which is where that character comes from, that movie I think has also been kind of shelved. Another interesting project that was originally slated was a Amanda Waller series. I think that maybe that's going to be reconstructed into maybe a Checkmate series.
Oh,
that's my personal theory. I think we're going to get a Checkmate TV series, and I think it's going to feel like Peacemaker but bigger. And I think because it won't focus so much on Chris. As a matter of fact, I think it was Cyber who said this, but there's a good chance that if in this theoretical Checkmate TV show, Peacemaker probably won't even be in it. We probably won't see him maybe next until Man of Tomorrow. But yeah, that's my personal theory. That's why I think that James Gunn really wanted to put Checkmate at the end of this season. It's because maybe that's going to be the next kind of big thing that we get. So in the comics, Checkmate was actually, I believe, started by Amanda Waller back in the day in the original run, and it was made to just kind of not a subset of Task Force X, but kind of ran parallel to, and it was really just meant to hunt down dangerous metahumans, and it did become something that's very similar to S.H.I.E.L.D., like Imran said. In later years, during like the Infinite Crisis days or like Countdown to Crisis, it was actually ran by Maxwell Lord, who we know was already in the DCU.
Yeah.
So they got some strong potential there to do something with that if they want to. But I thought it was really cool to see Checkmate again, just like seeing Salvation being mentioned. It's one of those things that's really cool in concept, but we got to see what they do in execution. So it's going to really going to depend on what they can do with that to really flesh it out and make it feel like something special and unique. And I will also say this about Checkmate in this series, and that is I love that we at least got one kind of solid through line in this season of television. That is, all season, what's Adebayo been trying to do?
Start a thing, a detective company. Yeah.
Yes. And now look at with Adrian's blood money.
Yeah.
They've been able to do. They started Checkmate. And how ironic is it that in the comics, it's Amanda Waller who stars it, but here, we have her daughter.
Yeah.
This. So I think that they're really doing some fun juxtaposition here. And, just looking at the end and the evil shit that Rick Flag has done to Peacemaker, you guys really hit it on the head. It's evil, it's vile, it's pretty messed up. But I just want to make another correlation to his son, Rick Flag Sr. Why was he killed? Rick Flag Jr. was killed because once he saw all of the heinous shit that was going on Corto Maltese,
right,
he was going to just blow the lid off and expose that to the public. Amanda Waller gave the word to Peacemaker, this can't get out, put him down.
Yeah.
And so Rick Flag Jr., he died trying to expose human rights violations.
Right.
And what is Rick Flag Sr. doing? He is doing everything that his son died to expose. And so it's this is one of those things that I hope and pray is on James Gunn's mind, and that this thing is done intentionally and not just some weird oversight because you want to evil Rick Flag or whatever. But I just thought that was also interesting. It's too on the nose for James Gunn to not have done intentionally. As far as Peacemaker goes, I am so curious to see exactly what's happening with him. You guys mentioned that weird noise off in the background in Salvation. Who knows what that noise is?
Was that a dinosaur? What was that?
Yeah. So we'll see. Definitely an interesting way to end this season of television. Again, especially considering we don't know when or where we will see these characters next. We didn't really get a definitive ending. We did in some capacities, in other ways we didn't. Some things still feel left up in the air. Like, I'm sure I'm not the only one who's thinking we got to see Keith again at some point.
Yep. He's got a vendetta.
Yeah. So interesting stuff, I thought, overall.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Good job. All right. So, I mean, as I kind of mentioned before, I thought the ending was quite interesting, except for, him being left in Salvation. to leave a cliffhanger, like I said, because we don't know when we're getting any, total kind of, reveal of what's, is going on with that. There's no, it's all going to be a surprise. So it's like waiting either for, Man of Tomorrow, or waiting for Lanterns, or waiting for another DCU project. Who knows when it'll happen? And then they're just leaving us on this cliffhanger, like, oh shit, like this sucks. But anyways, I think that overall, I think the episode was okay. Wasn't my favorite, but I think it did answer a few questions, and overall, I think it still had some entertaining value. So going around the panel, I want to ask everyone what their overall of the season rating is, and rating of this episode. So starting with you, Imran, what would you give the episode as a rating, and then overall the season?
I was just thinking about how the setup is kind of great for Lex Luthor, because he now has alien tech that's more advanced than what he's able to make. Does he make his suit out of the stuff he finds in there? So overall, like where they ended, they did really set up a bunch of interesting things, I think, for the future with Salvation and Checkmate and this tech. I think this season, I think season 1 was a little stronger. So but it's still, the show is still got a lot of charm. Their chemistry is great. I love the jokes, the irreverent nature. The characters are heartfelt. They're well written, well acted. So the season, I'll give the season an 8. This episode, though, not my favorite episode of the season. It's weird. Initially, I was a little underwhelmed once it ended, but then, as we talked about tonight, there's a lot of crazy stuff happened, a lot of emotion, a lot of heart, but some things didn't pay off. So mixed bag. So that, I guess the episode I'd give like a 6.5 or 7, but the season I did enjoy. So that's it.
No, I didn't know they did that.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. All right. So going over to you, Quentin, what would you give the episode as a rating? And then also, what would you give the overall season as a rating?
So this is difficult for me. I have already given my score on my podcast, and I have to stick with it. I have to, if nothing else, I have to be consistent. Right. I think that this episode, it has good parts in it, but this episode had to give us something to build up to, and then execute, and then get us, excited for whatever else is to come.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot to do, even with the 57-minute runtime. They wrapped up everything in Earth X, which honestly, that had been kind of the A plot for most of this season. And so once that was said and done, you have to give us something new to really sink our teeth into and care about. It has some really good moments in it, some really good acting in it. It has some good character moments as well. The pacing isn't as good as it was in maybe previous episodes, but again, we have more time here to play with. I thought that just about for every time it did something that I really liked, it would do something that I thought was either kind of irrelevant or that just didn't help the episode that much. I'm going to stick with my original score. Unfortunately, I got to score this episode a 5 out of 10. I compare it to last year or last season's season finale. When we were at episode 7, we knew what was going to happen for episode 8. We knew that they were going to have to find a way to stop the butterflies, right? To bring me into them. Yeah. And then like they did it in a glorious way, and we got that Justice League or that Justice Gang cameo.
Yeah.
And it was
great.
It was great.
Think about this season. There's no like threat. There's no like actual villain or threat for the whole season of television. It's kind of wild.
Yeah. It's a big swing.
Yeah.
But the plot just wasn't concise enough for that swing to really connect for me. And that's why, like, as a whole, this season, again, I was really patient with this season. we get one episode that I think was really great, and then the next episode or two would be slow and it would be filler and they'd be killing time. I was telling this to my co-host, you can take out all of the Red Saint Wild stuff and it doesn't change anything.
No, it really doesn't.
Not saying it wasn't entertaining,
Yeah.
but it doesn't really add anything to the main plot or story synopsis. I had fun with this season in parts, but if I'm being honest with myself, I will go back and watch season 1 in a heartbeat. With this, I'd really pick and choose my moments. I can't wait for someone on YouTube to make a master cut of Peacemaker season 2 that's like 2.5 hours long. Actually, no, that's probably the length of the season. They'll make a master cut that's 50 minutes long.
You could probably do it in 90 minutes, honestly. Yeah, right?
Really. I enjoyed it in parts, but by and large, I think that my original synopsis is kind of dead on. James Gunn is spread too thin and didn't have enough time to really pan out all of these cool concepts. And so we end up with a bunch of loose concepts that aren't tied together. I'm going to give the season as a whole a 5.5 out of 10.
All right. Excellent. Thank you, sir. Jeff, what would you give the episode and then the season overall?
Yeah, I'll give the episode an 8. And I'll give the season a like a 7, I guess, probably. And that, that's pretty much it. I don't really have any like general thoughts. I mean, I pretty much already said what I have to say as far as how I feel about season 2. I just feel like it was just.
No, you got muted.
Yeah, you all of a sudden got muted.
My bad. All I was basically trying to say was just that season 1 was a better season than season 2. Essentially, I felt like. Simple as that. Take it or leave it. I felt like overall, like it was a better season. But season 2 had its positives. So that's it.
All right. Thank you, sir. I'll have to give the episode a 6 out of 10. The season I will give overall, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Like I said, I found there was some very entertaining value to it. But overall, there was definitely some episodes that could have just been so much better because they could have been so longer and could have finished off certain storylines and stuff like that better too as well. So I have to give it I'll give it a 7 out of 10 for the season and a 6 for the episode. All right. So that is the conclusion of Peacemaker season 2. And that is the conclusion of this episode. I'll now turn it over to my trusty co-host, Mr. Jeff S., to take us out.
All right. Imran, Jock and Nerd Podcast. Go ahead, sir.
Yes. You can find me also weekly on the Jock and Nerd Podcast new shows every Wednesday. It's an audio podcast. We are on YouTube as well. Just search Jock and Nerd and you'll get fun geek content. We love superhero comics and movies. And last couple of episodes we've done the Smashing Machine, one battle after another. Lots of crazy fun new movies came out this week. But we were also been talking about Peacemaker, Alien Earth. Next episode, Tron Ares. Tron is a very weird franchise. So it's a lot like Avatar. People like it, but they don't like it, but they may like it. I don't know. Looks nice, but the story is like whatever. So find out. You can find out what we thought of Tron Ares. But yeah, subscribe and follow new shows every Wednesday. jockandnerd.com for details.
There you go. He's got a nice website too.
It's all right.
All right. Superhero homies. Quentin, go ahead, sir.
Yes. So we recently just did Marvel Zombies and Wonder Woman Dead Earth, which is one of my favorite Wonder Woman Elseworld stories. I thought it was tremendous. But coming up, we have the remainder of Gen V. We covered the first half of it, and we'll be covering the second half of it as soon as it finishes with these back half of the season. Gen V's been very interesting so far. I like what they're doing so far. We also have coming up, we're going to review the first 6 issues of Absolute Batman, and he is an absolute bat unit in that series.
Yeah.
And also, we'll be reviewing Doomsday Clock. The Watchmen is my favorite comic book of all time. And so we're finally taking a look at the pseudo sequel, the tie-in in DC Comics called Doomsday Clock. Looking forward to reviewing that and seeing how it all plays out and pans out. Other than that, we have some other things coming down the pipeline as well. We're looking forward to doing Wonder Man. We may be looking forward to covering it more than Marvel is looking forward to presenting it. We'll see what happens. But we have a lot coming down the pipeline, so just keep your ears and eyes open for all that.
All right. Cyberneticshark, sir. Wrap us up.
So as always, if you enjoy me as a moderator, if you enjoy, me on the panel, you can check out my solo content. You'll find me under Cyberneticshark. You'll find me on YouTube, TikTok, X, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, X, Patreon, pretty much anywhere there's a social media platform. You can check me out. My home base is, of course, YouTube. As you can see here, you can see there I put up my trailer reaction for the upcoming Zootopia 2 and the boxing movie Christie. If you haven't seen either of those trailers, check those out. They're pretty fun reactions. Looking forward to checking those out when they come out. For my shorts, I think I most recently did a couple reviews of a couple newer films that I've watched. I believe, of course, that was Screamboat, which is the Steamboat Willie horror film, and then, of course, the Medea's Boo film, which is a funny ass series. If you have not seen them, really funny films. They're very enjoyable, as you can see there. And of course, I'll be having more stuff up for you guys soon. I haven't been to the theater in a while. I've been too busy. So still have my other 2 reviews coming out for you guys eventually, for a couple of movies I did see a couple weeks ago. So keep your eyes out for that. Keep out your eyes for more trailer reactions, stuff like that, more little shorts. Just want to thank everyone for subscribing and being a subscriber. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And definitely check out my Patreon because you get all kinds of extra stuff you don't get here on the YouTube channel. Helps the channel out too as well. And just want to thank everyone for watching here on the MCU's Bleeding Edge. You guys are rocking it, and thank you for watching.
There you go. And appreciate everybody that was on the panel tonight. Imran, Quentin, it was great having you guys back on again. Hopefully we'll see you again soon. Thank you, Cyber, for moderating tonight. And folks, we will see you again next week. You'll see me for Daryl Dixon, season 3, episode 6. We'll see you later. Peace.